Hi, thank you for tuning in to State of the Arts, a podcast where art forms are embraced and artists are celebrated. I'm Lee, your hostess of ceremonies, and this is episode 55, the Christmas special. This episode is dedicated to all those who battled, have survived, or who have lost their lives to breast cancer. My guest this week is Catniss Locati. She is an Areonip architect, which is a tattoo artist who creates new nipples for women who have lost their breasts due to mastectomies. Catniss also paints lifelike portraits of people. She is a fine arts entrepreneur. She is a photorealist painter. She is also an art instructor who gives private lessons to children and adults and hosts art parties. Drawing, painting, and sewing lessons are her specialties. Such a talented Renaissance woman. Welcome to my show, Catniss. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Lee. Hi.
Hi. What an amazing and interesting and well-rounded life you have. It's so incredible. So you've built Final Mile Inc. from scratch as an Areonip architect. How did that journey all begin?
I was back in Terrytown when I lived there in 2010, 2011, and I went to all the classes and became licensed and just basically took my photorealism technique as an artist and transferred it to the skin. And maybe it might be easier to explain artwork or why I'm sitting with all of this artwork behind me before we segue into actually the Areonip tattoos, because the artwork came first before the Areonip tattoo. So basically, what you're seeing behind me is photorealism. It says real as a photo. That's the genre that it's called. So if you notice, this is anatomy, and this is anatomy as well behind me. So I realized that if I could paint like this on flat canvas, I could probably teach myself how to do the areola and the nipple for breast cancer survivors after mastectomy if I learned how to use a tattoo machine. So I combined this skill, this photorealism skill, to the skin to create 3D, real looking projected Areonips, if you will. Let me get up in a second and get an example to show you, because I realize some people are listening to this audio and others are watching a video. So if you'd like to follow along before I show you the example, if you would go to Final Mile Inc., finalmile.ink, and on the landing page is the images I'm going to show you now of the medical pigmentation, which is the scientific term for the medical Areonip tattoo. So those of you listening, I can try to explain what you're seeing. Those of you watching can see. So this is a really good example of what was being taught in the tri-state area when I was in school. And I thought, you know what, I'll bet you anything, if I use my skill, I can make it better. So watch what happens to the quality of these actual tattoos done by other people and mine.
Wow.
Can you see the difference?
Yes.
So what I'm showing is really flat discs that have no projection that the physicians assistants, and other tattooists do that are not trained as artists, and what my work looks like. So you can see right here, this is photorealistic. It looks as though it's round and protruding and erect, and on skin, it's completely convincing that that's what it is.
How extraordinary. And what a rewarding line of work that is. It's so amazing. I'm sure your clients are just grateful for the work that you do.
Just check everything out at finalmile.ink. It's covered by insurance 100%, which is fabulous. According to the Women's Health and Cancer Rights Act of 1998, it stipulates that any woman's insurance coverage that covers mastectomy must also cover medical pigmentation 100%. So what that means is, after mastectomy and the breast mounts have been put back in, oftentimes from reconstruction, they're blank, literally blank, and there's nothing there. So I come on with my Areonip architect procedure, and I put the areola and the nipple on the Areonip in 3D with permanent ink.
That's incredible. That is wonderful. And I'm sure your clients are thankful for this wonderful work that you do. A lot of people don't realize that it's covered by insurance, and that word needs to be spread. Definitely.
True.
Yes. And as I understand, you commute back from Seattle and to New York and just back and forth for your line of work.
I do. My whole medical office is handled online at Final Mile 8, so the breast cancer survivor or the surgeons can go there and they fill out the form. When it comes to me, their HIPAA rights are enacted right away. I will go wherever they are. I oftentimes will wait until 2, 3, or 4 patients need the medical pigmentation, the medical Areonip tattoo in the same week before I travel to that area, so that all the travel costs are split. So I am mobile, global, and I'll go wherever I'm needed, where I can get a group of breast cancer survivors who need this procedure within the same couple of days.
That is fantastic. And tell us, how did you coin the term Areonip?
It's spelled Areonip, and I'll be trademarking that word because in conversation, when we speak of the areola and the nipple, they are two distinct, different body parts. And to say areola and not nipple, or to say nipple and not areola, is to leave the other one out. And it's just kind of hard to talk about it in conversation, and it kind of sexualizes it, and that's not what this is about. This is about artwork and solving the issues of breast cancer survivors. So when you're talking about the areola, it's the skin, the dark skin around the outside of the nipple. So to make it easier to understand what it is that I do, I connected the A-R-E of areola and N-I-P of nipple and made a new word, Areonip. So an architect explains really what I do, the Areonip architect, because I'm literally recreating the whole thing. And I do a lot of repair work and scar camouflage. Oftentimes there's scars outside of the Areonip perimeter, and I just go right over the top of that. I also do all sorts of ethnic skin tones. So not just Caucasian, Asian, African-American, Puerto Rican, and everybody's skin is a little bit different. And every one of those Areonip combinations is different as well. So it's custom work for breast cancer survivors.
That's extraordinary. And how long is the procedure? Patients, I assume, have to come back several times?
It's only a couple of hours the first session, but I do have them come back in 30 days because it's a medical procedure and a tattoo. We need to see where the ink held, where it did not. So whether they're unilateral, one breast or two, or bilateral, both breasts needing the tattoos, I work both breasts at the same time so that I always create a matching set.
The process of matching, is that difficult?
Yes, it's really hard. It's harder to do the unilaterals because one breast, one areola nipple is live. And depending on the color of that, it's not something that you can match. And a lot of the tattoos try to do that and they just really don't have much success. So I use anesthetics and I send my patients to the plastic surgeons. They're anesthetized with the anesthetics that last for surgery 5 to 8 hours. And they come to me right away on that live side for unilateral breast cancer survivors. So then I go in immediately with my ink so that they don't feel anything at all on both sides, creating a matching set or a perfectly created painting, if you will, on their breasts that match each other. And then they come back 30 days later and it's done.
That's so wonderful. Wow, that's great. And it's amazing how your painting is tied in to your medical practice as well. The importance of an artist's eye in all of this.
Well, that's where it all started, is with the artwork. So as artists, we use our skills to do whatever we can to, stay in the market, produce revenue. So I've branched out into some other areas, some other departments. And the name of the website, if you'd like to go there and look at the photos that I'm talking about, the people who are following along audio podcasts, if you just go to catnissartranch.inc, and that's CATNISS art, ARTRANCH, ranch.ink, not incorporated, but ink is in tattoo ink. So catnissartranch.ink, and it shows you the departments of drawing, painting, and sewing lessons that I offer. So these are things that I could do before I did the tattooing. I'm teaching kids 9, 10 years old up to adults how to draw, how to paint, how to do this kind of thing. And I've learned since I was a child, so that's what we're offering. And paint parties as well. I'm hooking up with, I'm combining businesses with the Connecticut Art Gallery in Thomaston, and we have 6 locations, and we'll be offering that as well. Draw, paint, sew lessons, and paint parties for adults. So it's pretty fun.
And you offer art therapy?
Well, that is art therapy. Through the painting, through the process of creating art, people feel so much better. A lot of my history has been, as many of us, through trauma. I've had to deal with PTSD, depression. I'm an injured athlete. I'm actually disabled. I deal with pain on a daily basis. There's that whole part of my life. So instead of becoming addicted to opioids or pharmaceuticals, I've chosen medical cannabis and CBD as a healer, and it's worked phenomenal. But as a channel to feel better and to express these things that we feel as symptoms of the things that have happened to us, I've used art, and my students do that as well, to feel better, to just use that as a channel that's healthy and healing. So,
And that's a beautiful thing, and it is effective. Creativity is just so healing and therapeutic.
I have some recovering alcoholics in my classes. They say that the Catniss Art Ranch classes, the Don't Worry, Paint Happy parties, has changed their lives for the better, because they can be positive about their symptoms of addiction, if you will. It's a channel where they're not reaching for alcohol, where they're feeling better about their lives. And when they're done in a couple of hours, they can step back and see the product of their better choices to heal naturally with art. So it's pretty great.
That is great. So beautiful.
Yeah.
You're doing such important work.
Thank you.
And as I understand it, you changed your name recently.
Yeah, we have to kind of cover that. I have been known as another AKA Cathy, C-A-T-H-I, and I say the name and spell it because my artwork for the first 40 years of my life has been known under Cathy Locati. However, when I chose to change my life in 2017, joined the Me Too movement, and just really became healthier and went in that direction, I also chose to draw a line in the sand with my past, leave it behind, say, yes, this happened, acknowledge all of it, use art as a channel, but change myself, change who I am, and change my name. So I went to Catniss, C-A-T-N-I-S-S, and it's fabulous. It's a great name. It actually means female healer with plants. So I'm like, oh, so the whole, yeah, I didn't know that before I chose it. So it all just kind of has come together. But Catniss is more of a memorable name, and it's a name that I'm branding. It's just fun. So
yes, that is fun. And I love that, female healer with plants. I had no idea that was the definition.
yeah.
And you were in the pageant circuit.
Oh boy. Yeah, with all the Miss Universe pageants and Miss America pageants that have been going on recently this week, it's brought a lot of that up for me. I was a contestant in the Miss USA pageant in 1981 in Biloxi, Mississippi. I was representing the state of Montana. I was Miss Montana USA 1981. And you can see it online right now on YouTube. If you just go to the Miss USA pageant 1981 and type that in, you can watch it and pull up my name. That's why I bring up the name, because Cathy Locati at the time was who I was then. So I've been in the beauty pageant or beauty industry, I guess you could say, for a really long time. So that also helped me make the jump between artwork and painting and the skin, because I know how women feel and how they want to look. And May mentioned that I myself have had a breast reduction. So again, I've been there, done that. I know what it feels like to not have your breasts look as beautiful as they can. I'm also a cancer survivor. So all these things have just really pulled together, and I'm just really happy to be able to just offer them to the world, give back what I've been given. I was just born with this talent. I was taught by my mom, who is also an artist as well, but it's pretty great to be able to do the paint parties now and everything all together.
That's great.
I forgot what your question is.
Oh, you answered it.
I have a whole bunch of these paintings that are like sitting here next to me. This is the tough part of doing video versus audio. For those people listening, of course, they couldn't see them, but just don't like to always have those paintings in the background. Maybe I could walk around a little. But here's a painting in the background. You can see I do a lot of large format work. This is 50 inches by 16 inches. And it's in my Stampede collection #2. And I'll have about 24 of these paintings when I'm done. And this was a maquette, actually, and I just worked on it a couple days ago. It's one of my most recent pieces. And it's teaching my mind how to paint that horse, because that's a small one. By the time I paint the real large format piece for my art collector, it will be about 5 feet. So I'll practice these as I go. And I've been commissioned by the executive chef of Waikiki Country Club in New Rochelle, New York, Victor Honrath, to paint this for his new home. And I'm really delighted to be able to do that.
How exciting. What an honor. That's great.
Yeah. But and as part of, again, you know, how artists stay prolific and we earn our income that way. When you spend money with artists, you keep us going. That's how we make a living. So.
Yes. So remember to support the arts, everyone.
Yes.
It's so important.
Yeah, your local art is not sitting on a shipping container right now. So call us, bye. We have art for you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
And as I understand it, you designed the logo for an Italian designer who's based out of New York.
Oh boy, that was a long time ago. Yeah, and you know, I'll do whatever graphics I can, you know, to get the work done. Whenever I say there's a collection, there's 24 pieces. Here's another example of how more horse work.
So
Again,
beautiful.
this is kind of weird holding it up, but it's of a horse, right? But it's completely different than what's behind me. But then the horses that I'm teaching in my drawing and painting classes, they change every week. Now here's another one that I'm working on. See, it's similar.
Stunning.
Not the same and not finished.
Very real, very realistic.
So when I do an exhibit of all my horses, people can come, and that's on wallpaper paper. You get the main idea. So when there's a popular image, I do as many different pieces as I can as we go. So, but can you see it behind me?
Yes, that is beautiful.
How big it is? It's 4 feet by 8 feet. It's on a piece of 3/4 inch AC plywood. And it's going to 862 Scarsdale Avenue in Scarsdale, New York. It's called The Grotto, Majestic, New York, 2021. It's really hard to explain, but it's going downstairs on top of a railing. So the bottom of this image, the very bottom of that image, let me back up a little, will be at about 5 feet in the air.
Wow,
So
that's stunning.
this is a lot of work. I've been working on that for a couple of years now. So we'll get that installed pretty soon. And that will be exterior in New York. So there's a whole story behind that as well, why I'm painting it. I mentioned the whole disability and not being dependent on opioids or pharmaceuticals, using CBD, THC, and PT, physical therapy. So this Dr. Abby Ellsworth and Dr. Michael Ireland from the Pilates Physical Therapy and Wellness Center of Westchester, we're doing this in exchange for them keeping me on my feet, keeping me out of pain, so that I can do this today, so that I can talk to you, so that I can paint like that. Physical therapy in exchange for art as a thank you on trade makes it possible. So when it's all installed, it will make a lot more sense.
Wow, that's great. I love murals. I mean, murals are statement pieces. Vintage remakes. Would you like to talk more about vintage remakes? I find that fascinating.
Oh, the vintage remakes? Yeah, this is really super exciting. The only way I can really show you is if I could show you a painting how it looked before. I might be able to show you a close-up of this, but I can't hold the computer and do this at the same time. So just a second. Okay, this is one of the images that I did that I actually teach for my Don't Worry, Paint Happy parties, where everybody shows up, and whether you painted or not, everybody paints the same thing. And in 3 hours, you go home with a pretty good painting that you like. It's pretty nice. But look at it up close. I'm going to turn it sideways this way. Do you see a football stadium underneath there? See where it says Seahawks Stadium?
Oh,
See the football stadium underneath?
yes, how
This
incredible.
is really dark at night. So I found this painting in a thrift shop. It was really black and it had the Seattle Seahawks, which means something to me. My kids live there. So what I do is I take paintings, I call them the fugly paintings that are in your attic, in your basement that nobody wants. And I turn them sideways or upside down and I paint right over the top. And it's a class that I teach because everybody has paintings they don't like. And it really teaches you to how to paint with acrylic, how to paint quickly, And it's a theory that I use. It's called the off-7 color code of Catniss. And it's like a certain series of steps of color. It's really fun and it's easy and everybody can learn it. So this one is the same technique, if you will. Okay. Where is it? See the Canadian bird. Again, the people who are, listening to this by audio, of course, are just not going to be able to see this. Yeah, I don't think anyway. Abort. See, without the light and holding the cameras and stuff, I don't have enough hands. So basically, it's just painting over the top of what's there, and it's a blast because you never know what you're going to get. And I do it all the time. So
it's a form of upcycling. It's so innovative.
Yeah, the ultimate recycling. This has a big, huge orange flower behind it, believe it or not, and it went right over the top.
How extraordinary.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Here's a work in progress from one of my paint party classes. It's the Watchtower Lighthouse in Rhode Island.
Lovely.
Anyway.
You have so many pieces. And how many works do you have total?
I have thousands. Since I first started painting, it was 1986, I think, I've sold over $1 million worth of artwork and over $150,000 in Areonip tattooing. And I have 1,000 paintings in the world that were sold for that amount, with about another 1,000 ready to go. As soon as we get some exhibition space going with the Connecticut Art Gallery, we'll be able to get a lot of those out there. And also CatnissArtRanch.inc. INK, we'll have a whole entire section for Catniss fine art sales and be able to put those paintings up and show them and sell them that no one's ever seen. So through new technology, hopefully we can make that connection, and Instagram and Meta. So CatnissArtRanch.ink that I've been talking about, of course, is the Draw, Paint, Sew lessons, and anybody can find out more about them there. And the Don't Worry, Paint Happy lessons are on that website as well, with the fine art sales. The other site for the Areonip tattoos, the medical Areonip tattoos for breast cancer survivors after mastectomy, is Final Mile Inc. Again, INK, Final Mile. They have to go the final mile, and breast cancer survivors understand that. After everything they've been through, once they're all done, once they get their ink, they're finished and made whole again. And again, that's covered by insurance.
Well, because you sell fine art as well, and that's separate from your art lessons.
It is, right? And I appreciate you understanding there's a difference between selling and commissioning and murals and installations. Again, I'd like to mention, if you'd like to check out the website, the ConnecticutArtGallery.com. That's where paint night is going to be offered all over Connecticut. So the ConnecticutArtGallery.com and CatnissArtRanch.inc, INK, we're going to be joining up to teach as many of those classes as we can. And that's happening now, today, December 2021. So.
Yay, it's so exciting. I'm so glad you're doing this episode too on the same day as this milestone event.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the opportunity. I just wish I could show more of this artwork, but again, I've got a lot of people listening to audio. So what else can we say to explain that they would want to hear?
Would you like to describe?
Artwork. Maybe the off-7 color code of Catniss. It's pretty simple. It's 6 colors. That's why it's called off-7. We always start with 6. Anybody who paints with acrylic paints understands how hard they are to show any kind of layering or any kind of blending. They're really opaque and they go on top of each other. Whatever's underneath gets covered and they dry immediately. And it's really hard to work with them and get anything that looks anything close to oil. So when you use the off-7 color code, in this order, every single time, you use purple, blue, green, red, orange, yellow, your first 6 colors. Then your off-7 is, well, then you're going to use white, maybe black. So you do the whole painting all at once, one color, like the mural I just showed you, the Grotto Majestic, New York, 2021. I did the same thing with that. I painted the entire thing with purple, then went over the whole thing with blue and green, one layer at a time. And that was born through necessity also. In fact, if you'd like to watch me do that, that mural, the grotto, is going to sit on top of a 20-foot cinder wall beneath it that's 20 by 5 feet. And it's called the Grotto Serious Cinder Wall. If you go to YouTube, Catniss Locati, look for the Grotto Serious Cinder Wall, and you can watch me paint that in the style that I'm explaining in those colors and how they all come together. So once the plywood piece that's out in the garage right now is installed in Scarsdale on top of the Serious Cinder Wall, then I can use the off-7 color code to finish the whole thing together at the same time.
What a
And that's right
project.
across the street from the Scarsdale Metro North train station, by the way.
How extraordinary.
Yeah,
It sounds like a very large undertaking.
it's huge. Been working on it for a year.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
so
dedication.
that's all part of when you do the big pieces.
Sure. What was the biggest piece you ever did?
Well, that cinder wall is 20 by 5 feet. The other one is the mural in Terrytown at the Metro North train station in Terrytown. That's called Working Water, and I did that in 2009. You can see that at catnissartranch.ink as well. Scroll down, there's a photo of me standing in front of it, but it's 18 feet by 5 feet, and that's original oil on canvas. That canvas has been attached to that wall, so it's a tangible. It can actually be removed, and it's worth about $350,000 and counting because it's not been painted on the wall, which is really important to note. But that painting, the Working Water, is of the Tappan Zee Bridge from 2009, 2010, right before it came down. So it's historical now. And I'm a member of the Hudson River School of Painters because I painted the Hudson River, which is pretty great. So you can check that out. It's at 127 West Main in Terrytown at the Hudson Harbor development. Hudson Harbor, inside their lobby in their stone house.
So exciting.
That's good. That was from a long time ago. But yeah, so I have many murals now in New York and Connecticut. And I'm just really proud and honored to say that, I'm a local artist here helping out. And I would just love to find all the artists out there who want to become better, who have never tried anything and are trusting enough, whether you're a beginner or not, no experience, give us a call. Do draw, paint, sew lessons. Come take our paint parties, get a bunch of your friends together, 10, 20 people, and just have a blast for 3 hours. It's fun. So we can do that. And the tattoos for the breast cancer survivors, just, contact us and let's make your life better with fine art.
Yes, that's wonderful. I was about to say, is there anything else you'd like to say to the listeners? But it sounds like you summed it all up in a nutshell.
So there you go. And just go to the websites, go to Instagram, if you would, catnissartranch.ink, and everything will be there, and contact us, and we'd love to hear from you.
It's such an honor to have you on my podcast, Catniss. This has
Thanks,
been
Lee.
such a remarkable journey with you. And thank you so much.
Thanks. It's fun talking with you too. You ask good questions. You're a good listener.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks for your patience. Have a good one.
Thank you too. And thank you everyone for tuning in to another episode of State of the Arts. I encourage you all to be true to your dreams. Stay well, stay safe out there, and take care. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Lee. Bye.
Thank you, Catniss. Bye-bye.